I thought I'd read a very short Zen story. And just like the best Zen stories or koans, they point really directly to something that's quite deep, profound, and maybe takes years of mastery. So the first time I read this story was in a book called Zen Flesh, Zen Bones. You may have heard of it. It's a compilation of 4 books, including The Gateless Gate, that was produced in the 1930s, 1940s. So it's one of the first modern Western bits of literature about Zen that came to the West. It was fundamental, you could say, in bringing Zen practice and kind of the Zen view to the West, along with Alan Watts in the 60s. So yeah, it's really beautiful. And I remember getting this maybe about 20 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, when I was still a young practitioner, and just like reading these kind of, how would you describe it, impenetrable things. Just like reading koans for the first time when you're 22 and you're just going, right, this is something way beyond what my present mind is capable of dealing with, understanding, and that was beautiful and mysterious. But one stood out at the time, and it's something that I now know in my experience exactly what it's pointing to. So I thought I would read it. It's called Every Minute Zen. I'm going to read from my phone. So, Every Minute Zen. Zen students are with their masters at least 10 years before they presume to teach others. Nan In was visited by Tenno, who, having passed his apprenticeship, had become a teacher. The day happened to be rainy, so Tenno wore wooden clogs and carried an umbrella. After greeting him, Nan In remarked, "I suppose you left your wooden clogs in the vestibule. I want to know if your umbrella is on the right or the left side of the clogs." Tenno, confused, had no instant answer. He realized that he was unable to carry his Zen every minute. He became Nanin's pupil, and he studied 6 more years to accomplish his every minute Zen. So that, at the time, it kind of stood out to me because it made me realize, wow, that level of presence, to just be with experience all of the time. Well, it felt unattainable when I first read it. And the tricky thing is that as a self who's trying to mitigate the world through thought and consciousness all the time with a point of view, the person trying to remember, it is unattainable. There's just too, as part of discrete individual experiences to remember as a person in the world, there's too many. It becomes ungraspable, or rather the moment is always ungraspable. So when we're stuck trying to grasp it, we always miss. But when we're able to abide as presence, when we get to the point where it seems through maybe lack of delusion or interference, when the filters drop enough and presence becomes totally embodied, then right mindfulness becomes the platform from which we experience the world. And I say right mindfulness, I don't mean mindfulness that is the right one. I mean right mindfulness is in it's like the attunement of mindfulness to always be mindful. It's here all of the time. So yeah, remembering something as simple as where you left your keys on the counter 5 minutes ago. I mean, exactly on which side of the flowers were they, as an example. And I'm sure many of us can't remember. Now, it isn't to point out fault. We've not done anything wrong. But it's pointing to, oh, actually, there's maybe a ways to go. There's maybe practice yet to be explored in order to attune presence to the moment so that we don't miss anything and yet we grasp at nothing. There's no clinging or attachment at all. No trying to remember or notice. And with that comes the ability to totally remember, paradoxically. And what I like about that is that Tenno, the teacher who, the newly appointed teacher, realized in that moment, I have some work to do. And he devoted himself to the work. That's incredible. Like, it can be so easy to have a lot of insights and a lot of shifts and feel deeply realized in our own sense, and often miss the pointers in the world or the observations of others that are saying, actually, there's still something left to explore. There's still some obstacle, you could say, to seeing clearly. So Tenno's response to that was devoting himself for a further 6 years of devoted practice in order to attain his minute by minute, every minute Zen. And I love it. It's just like total devotion to, no, this is what the path is about. I'm devoted to clarity, and I'm going to continue to explore it. Once I've been shown that things are maybe still a little unclear. So yeah, every minute Zen. See and explore in your own life if you can carry that presence, that knowing presence moment by moment. And if not, you're not doing anything wrong. That's completely natural. Maybe explore how we can train that, how we can bolster and continue to grow that felt experience of the moment.